Welcome back, everybody, to Week 2, Picks versus the Spread with Cav Manning and Mr. Billy Body. I'm from the Lingus Mafia podcast. Everything on social media, just look up Lingus Mafia. I'm with your better extraordinaire. He went 3 for 3 over on patreon.com/NFL 6-pack. That's where you want to go.
The number 6.
The number 6 in the 6-pack. And our lock of the week, right off the bat, we had the Ravens. That fucking won too. And
double lock.
We both said jump on that one. So fucking nailed. And things were going well. I'll take my medicine. I was 1 for 3. Now, the 2 that I lost, I'd like to have an explanation for. Usually, everybody knows me. If I fucking fuck up, I first one to say I fucked up, right? That Denver fucking game, to me, is not even a fuck up because, you know, hey, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. I get it. But 2 fumbles on the fucking 1. They don't do this. They win fucking, it's 14 points right there. So Denver fucked me up. I was wishing horrible, horrible things on them, you know, and it's a shame if their plane goes down on the way back. But this is what happens, and it's week 1. Week 1 is rough, but Billy straight away out of the fucking box with 3-0. So the man does this for a living, and this is where you want to go. So patreon.com/NFL6, the number, pack. And you get 2 different packages there. One is $15, one is $60, and that is for your month. We're going to give you a couple rundowns in this Freebird show, and then we're going to cut it off, and the end of the show will be on that Patreon, where we will give out our picks for the lower tier. We'll give out our slam dunk for you, and then on the other side, when you go to the 60, you will get the write-ups for your 6 plays of the week. And we could do over-unders. We could do individual accomplishments you could bet on. The world is wide open with this NFL. And then, most importantly, of course, you have your spreads to pick from. What do you think, Billy Boy?
That's a difference, yeah. Here it's very much an ATS-orientated show. So you can use this for your, maybe your survivor pools or your contests, your pick'em contests or whatever. But to make the money, you need to either go over to lockbetting.com, where I cover all sports. My NFL plays there went 5-0. Or you go to, if you just want NFL and you don't want all the rest of my sports, go to the NFL 6-packs, because I just narrow my plays down to my absolute top 3, where I've just gone 3-0. So I am good at locking in terms of, cutting out plays and choosing. Some people, that's where they struggle. They're very good at every week going, I don't know, 12. Some people, they claim at least that, I go 12-4 all the time, or I go 10, or 10-6 kind of people. But then take that 10-6 and tell people, all right, what's your top 3 or your top 6 or whatever. They might not necessarily come away with a profit. So this isn't blindly just picking games like we do here, where we're obligated to pick every game. This is a case of being able to pinpoint our best, and it's something that we've been proven good at over the years, because a lot records speak for themselves. Now the 6-pack is essentially us tripling our locks. So unfortunately last week, we both got our top lock right. I got my additional 2. Cav got fucked on both. So I wouldn't say he was on the wrong side of, look.
Like, they didn't just get their asses handed to them, both of those teams, because I had the Titans too, which choke at the fucking end.
No, and there are games last week where you look at it and you can go, some people could have been completely on the wrong side of certain games, such as taking, I'm trying to think, because there was a lot of bullshit that went on. I mean, obviously, if you took something like Packers to win in Minnesota, for example, that was a really bad play. But even you took things like, there's loads of examples. Bengals. I had the Steelers as one of my 6-pack plays last week, but I was lucky because there was 5 turnovers,
and they barely won.
Right, and so the Bengals aren't going to do that again.
Nah.
Now, San Francisco had the game in control until the weather changed badly, and then in Chicago.
What's funny is in control, and it was 7-0. It was like it felt like 35 to fucking 0, but it's that don't let anybody hang around. That you hang around too long, you're going to get bit. And like that was what was good. Like I picked, and being a Bears fan, it's not like I'm bandwagoning jumping on them because God knows I pick against them all the time. But not knowing Trey, that was the problem for me.
Yeah, and some good things come out of that because now Niners are bad, Trey's shit, and Chicago are better than people think. So they think. I don't think any of these two things came out of that game. I just feel that it turned on the conditions. Then you have the situation with the Titans throwing the game away. Then you have the situation on Monday night where Denver should have won by double digits, and they didn't. There's so many like takeaways. Like there was Atlanta threw a game away, but luckily they still covered for me. There's loads of things to look at where I think it's essentially one of those weeks. I mean, look, Detroit covered. Are they a good ATS team? Or were they in that game? Like, they lost by 3, but really...
And it was that last-minute bullshit again to fucking even get to that 3. It should have fucking been, lost that one easily with that spread.
So I think coming out of that week, like, I think the big takeaway for people, which rightly or wrongly, is that the Packers are going to have some problems. Arizona are going to be really, really bad.
You think so? See, that's where we're different on that Arizona.
No, I don't think these things. I'm just seeing what the opinions are being thrown around. But yeah, I found some interesting statistics. So week 1 can be a week where people overbet and get killed, and week 2 is even worse. So week 2 is usually worse than week 1. I admittedly am happy to come away with a break-even week usually in week 1, and then I'm very, very careful on week 2. Week 2 in 2019, I posted a card that went 0-7.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is how brutal it can be. So here's some notes to take down. I was telling you, Cav, that I listened to some stuff this week, some statistical podcasts, and me and Cav were supposed to start this show at a different time, and it's been delayed. But the good thing is that I got these numbers out of that extra time. So week 2 underdogs that didn't cover by 7 or more in week 1.
Yeah,
that makes sense. So they're underdogs this week, and last week. They didn't cover by 7 or more, so they were basically bashed. In the second week, they are 53, 35-1, 60% of the time they cover against the spread. So this week, this isn't to win, this is against the spread.
Yeah.
So this week, if that statistic stays, you're looking at Jets covering their line, which is 6. The Cardinals covering their line, and the Cowboys covering their line, which is also 6. I don't know the Cardinals line off the hand because I've forgotten that one. Overall ATS,
it's 5.5.
Okay, overall ATS in week 2, the underdogs just cover their line 53% of the time. So you could blindly bet everyone getting points this week, and 53% of the time they do win. Obviously, that's not a high level statistic at 53. Okay, week 2 dogs that didn't cover in week 1. So teams that are an underdog this week and also didn't cover last week as well, they bounce back 64% of the time. It's 56, 32, and 2. And week 2 dogs, this is the biggest one. Week 2 underdogs of 6 points or less, who had a straight up loss last week, are 64, 32, and 3. So they cover 67% of the times. So the dogs that fall under that category, I've made it easy for you and took the time to write them down. Panthers, Jags, Jets, and Cardinals. They are week 2 underdogs of under 6 points who had a straight up loss last week. And so they have a 67% chance of covering historically this week. And these are teams that I wasn't interested in all. Well, the Jags I was, just because of the way the record against the Colts. But we'll talk about that when we breeze through these games now.
Okay, let's get on the first game. So week 2. Sorry, I'm already still on week 1. Starting the Sunday games, we have the New York Jets going into the Cleveland Browns. Cleveland almost coughed it up to Carolina last week. This is Cleveland giving 6.5 to the Jets.
It's not now, though, is it?
I got these numbers this morning. The 6.5. So that's what I saw this morning from, what did you see?
Right now, I got 5.
Really? Even better then. I see, for me, I don't believe, you still got Flacco playing. Yeah, so I'd be with Cleveland on that one.
Yeah. I'm automatically against Flacco. This is crazy because you are right. This line's all over the place. There's a 6 at Bet365 and there's a 5 at Skybet. So
I went to Bet Online. That's where I was looking.
I don't actually know where this one sits at the moment. But what's most interesting for me in this one is the total is sitting at 40. If the Cleveland Browns are going to run the ball a lot, which is what they did last week, and Joe Flacco isn't going to score more than 2 touchdowns, I don't get how this gets to 40. And at the same time, I'd rather trust Cleveland running the ball than Joe Flacco covering the spread of getting less than a touchdown. So yeah, I think Cleveland win. Cleveland will start 2-0. They're usually bad starters, but they can go 2-0. Yeah.
On ESPN too, it says 6.5. So those are a couple places. Washington going into Detroit. If I could say Detroit. Is this the first time in how many games? Did they say like 2 years or something? This is the first time Detroit is favored in a game. There's some crazy stat. Yeah, they have not been favored. And at this point, what I see, they are favored by 1.
Yeah, this is because 59% of the bets are on the Commanders. That's why. And that's the third most bet game of the third most bet team of the week. Not most bet game, but the most bet team is the Command. You ain't gonna believe the percentage of number 1.
Really?
This is 59% on the Commanders, and it's third.
And it's I'm thinking, ooh, God, could it be Cincinnati?
What's that?
Could it be Cincinnati?
Yeah, it is. But I was going to tell you when you got that.
Oh, look at that! I nailed it. All right.
Cincinnati minus 6.5 has 85% I have 85% on one side.
See, I really like that because you're saying 6.5, and I only see 7, which scares me because this rush got in the game like another time, and everyone said, "Oh, okay, they're gonna get killed," and he won the game. Didn't even just cover; he fucking won. So you think right away, "Oh, they're trash." But we'll get to that game. I'm picking Detroit with that -1, by the way. Tampa Bay goes into New Orleans. I don't want anything to do with this fucking game because every goddamn time it's Tampa Bay -2.5. And every time I go, all right, Tom's finally going to fucking be done with this bullshit because he can't beat them unless it's the playoffs. And I go, all right, it's enough already. It's fake. It's going to, crumble now. I say it every time, and I'm going to say it again. I would take Tampa Bay here, but this is into that category of prove me, to show it to me.
Yeah, I'm with you because I often look at this game and it confuses me because New Orleans week to week they don't blow people out. They're not a 100% given playoff team. So this is all that divisional rivalry stuff. If you ever want an example, if someone's trying to understand and they say, why do division rivalries matter? This is the better team. You got 2 games this week where you can point to it. You can point to New Orleans and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and you can also point to the fact that the Colts can't beat the fucking Jags. And both of those come around this week. But just to give you a spoiler as to how I'm going to go with the other one, I think both of them lose this week. I think that Tampa win, and I think the Colts win. But
I'm
Tampa
with you exactly the same.
The reasoning behind the other play is a little bit more stronger. It's a lot more numbers based, and and I'll get to that. But for this one, it's just a case of when I see that defense last week, I don't see how New Orleans will be able to score points. And I understand that, like, this New Orleans defense, Brady struggled against it. But last week, Atlanta put up a lot of points. And even if Brady has got something in his head about this team, I think he would only need to put up 24 to 27 points here to win the game and to cover. So that defense might be the best in the league again, like it was the season where they won.
They were all over the place.
Yeah. But again, this is week one overreactions. But at the same time, you also see overreaction to numbers. Like I heard loads of stuff this week where it's like going to go with the Jags. I'm going to go with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm going to go with the Saints. The Saints do this to Tampa. The Jags do this to the Colts. Well, everything comes to an end. And it's usually when everybody has decided to bet it, because there are no poor bookies, there are no poor casinos, so that's why.
Carolina goes into the Giants. Me and my Lingus Mafia crew are split on this one. I still don't trust the Giants for shit. I think they pulled it out of their ass. I think Daniel Jones is horrible. I don't care. I find it to be whatever. This is a fluke anyway. They pulled a rabbit out of their ass, and Carolina did not look awful at all. They looked capable, and sure, it's at the Giants. I'm taking Carolina here, and the Giants are giving 2.
This is the second most bet game. The second most bet side,
really,
of the week, and this one has moved the line by half a point. So
who are they betting on?
So I had the Bengals. So the top one, the Bengals were at 6. I got 6.5, but it is more widely available at 7. And this Panthers were getting 3. I now can see them at 2.5, but they're now down to 2. Because they've got 66% of the bets on the Panthers. Okay. And that's second.
I don't feel crazy then. I was like, oh my God, is everybody betting on the Giants? What am I, the crazy one? Okay.
Yeah, I don't like it when everybody's betting on the same stuff as us, because,
But maybe it's like that comment. You know what? You're right, though, because that's Vegas knows best, one of those things, because you're like, what are they, stupid? Meanwhile, they know there's a reason why they put this like this, So I don't know. I feel Carolina's just the better team. I really do. Let's go into New England going to Pittsburgh. Boy, oh boy.
This is the one where I've heard the most differing opinions, and it's so weird because this hasn't been one where it's been like people have been like, oh, I have to pick this game. But I'm a little bit torn. Yeah, I've heard one guy on one show going, "Oh, I'm locking this up," and he's got reasons. And then I heard another guy on another show, "I'm locking this up too," and he's on the other side.
Wow.
So these strong opinions about this game that are so strong and that's made me one of the people who are not really on one side or the other. But to add clarity, there's 59% of people are on the Patriots here. So,
and it's a -2 for the Patriots. Tomlin does very good as the underdog in his point spread thing, and Bill, back-to-back losses does not happen too often as well. So for me, it's just...
I had those numbers, but I didn't bring them to the show because they're Brady numbers. They're...
doesn't, go with it as well.
Yeah, I mean, you can start, reeling off Belichick bounce back stats, but without Brady there.
So for me, it's a lot about the injuries. The running back hurt, and and then the torn pec thing on the defensive side. So that's what gets me pushed more to the New England area when it comes to winning this game, and I'm worried about the play calling, because that was a big deal last week where they were like, yeah, Patricia's calling these plays, which we talked about before. So that's a little scary to me, where I'm like, are they going to get this right? Is he really going to call these plays? But I would take New England here, but I'm not I'm not jumping up and down. It's mostly because of the injuries.
Well, there's only one injury to Pittsburgh, right?
No, it's defense and offense. Najee Harris, I believe, is limping around. He was in a boot. His ankle is messed up, so their running back situation might be a little rough. And then you got T.J. Watt on the other side, who's going to be definitely out for a few weeks.
Yeah, well, yeah, I know about Watt, and that's the main concern that people have had. For me, I don't think that's enough to take New England. I know that Bill Belichick has a good bounce back record, but as I said, it's inflated by Tom. I don't think that Mac looked good last week. I don't think the defense looked good last week. I don't like who's calling the plays on the offense. I found a statistic that says that teams who were a week one underdog, and then they become favorites somehow on week 2, which doesn't very often. There's only like 19 cases of it, actually. But they only win 4 times, 4, 14, and 1 against them. So I don't think the favoritism is justified here. It's the home opener. Pittsburgh's a good home field as well. I don't know. I just think Pittsburgh are better everywhere than New. New England. There's so much. It's so much that comes down to who the coach is and what and. You don't want to bet again. It's like it's crazy to bet, but it's like if you look at all these players with another coach, they're like in the bottom
100%. If he's not coaching, you don't even come close to picking anybody on New England.
No, they're in the bottom 5 of the league. They're the bottom 5 roster in the league, and I don't think they should be a favorite here. So I'm going to go Pittsburgh. But as I said, like it's not strong, but what's crazy?
Yeah.
I have so many people going strong on this one on one side. Other. It's the most like split game I think of the week, along with no, actually I would say it's the most split game of the week. Yeah, I mean I've heard people. I actually think for these New Orleans games and the Jags games, it's been a case of the people have been taking the underdog, so much so that Tampa and Indianapolis have become contrarian plays this week.
Speaking of, so we're in Indianapolis, who is 0-1 against the 0-1 Jacksonville Jaguars, who didn't look like they were slobs, at least. Even though they were playing Washington, they were still playing. It wasn't like, oh, this is, the drudge of the league. And it's funny that it is really only 3.5 points because Indy's supposed to be, some hardcore team that, ended up tying Houston. Good Lord. And one of my buddies, he had Indy in the survivor pool. You do survive if you have a tie. So he was thrilled to be alive still. 3.5, like we already kind of talked about this, so I don't even know if we need to mention it much, but we're both taking Indy for this. We think this finally gets, this is nonsense and it finally stops.
How many have they lost in a row? 4?
I believe it is 4. It's either 4 or 5.
It's 7 times I think they haven't covered against them, or is it?
They lose straight out though.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean.
Yeah, I mean it's just a straight up. They lose to this team for some reason. Jacksonville has Indy's number, and it's bizarre. I don't know. I mean, I can't even equate that to Chicago Green Bay, where Green Bay just always owns Chicago because obviously Green Bay's a better team, so they should. But Jacksonville is not a better team, and they do it. It's kind of like Miami and New England. Miami just has their number for some reason. So,
all right. So they lost the. I thought they'd lost more in a row than this.
Is it only 3?
Oh, it's in Jacksonville.
Ah.
Okay, because I was going to say they win their home games, so they've lost in Jacksonville 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 6, 0.
6, 0.
Why is there no games in? 6, 7. Jesus.
Wow.
Yeah, it was 7 times in a row. 7 times in a row.
Wow, 7 times in a row in Jacksonville.
In Jacksonville, yeah. So that's a stat I didn't pull up, but the one I did have was that the Colts are 1-12-1 ATS versus the Jags in their last 14. But look, here's some like other numbers, because I disregard those numbers somewhat, because it's always weird when handicappers like use that, because it's like, oh, this happened, like this is data dating back to 13 years, and it's like, well, who's in the team now from 13? So, and I mean, the quarterback's different, the coach is different, and here's two things about the quarterback and coach. So Frank Reich in his career has never covered week 1, and Matt Ryan is the worst quarterback in the league at week 1. He's 5-10 ATS. And then you know who the best 2 records are in week 2?
No. Indy?
This coach and this quarter. So Reich is 4-0 in week 2, and Matt Ryan is 11-3 in week 2.
Wow.
So they do get it right for the second week, if that's anything to go by. But again, it's data where you're looking at things that aren't wholly applicable to this team, because it's a different every week too. It's a different team. If they were here against the I don't know, if they were going away to Tampa, you wouldn't necessarily feel as confident. I don't know, like it's a lot of people this week taking the Jags, and that always puts me off immediately. Well, if I was thinking something and I saw that they'd won 7 times in a row, and then I'm joined by every other like podcast taking it, that's immediately like a red siren for me, where I lose interest in the play. What's your reason?
You know what? You really convinced me hardcore to like nearly lock up Indy. And this is a game where, I mean, it's 7 times in a row, for God's sake, and to lock somebody up is... And
the thing is, it back like, because what's interesting here is that, like, so the line moved to 2.5, and I can get it at 3 now, but it is more widely 3.5. So
I see 3.5. Yeah, that bothers me.
It opened at 4, and it moved to like all the way to 2.5, and then it's been bet back.
How could they only win by 3 though?
And that feels like they always lose here, and that feels like sharp. That feels like sharp money to me. So the other thing here, like looking a little bit deeper into the game last week, Matt Ryan and Indianapolis, they had 517 yards in the game. That only translated to 20 points, which is odd. You won't see that again. They ran for 177 yards, and they passed for 340 yards, and they got 20 points of that. They held where have I got here? Indianapolis held Houston, the completing just 66%, 62.2% of their passes. And Houston were held to 77 running yards. And what else have I got here? No, I think that's it. Like, the rest of it's just small, like little bits from the game. But it's too much like week 1 here. The other thing is that if Indianapolis don't win this game, they have KC on deck. So feel they'll be looking at it different. Like, they won't be looking ahead to that. They'll be looking at, we'll need to win this and take care of that one, because they've not put themselves in the best position by not winning last week. So
yeah, that's a rough one then. So they got to do it. So let's go on to
here was the one I skipped over. Jags won last week. Jags lost last week by 6, but Washington turned the ball over 3 times. And
still lost,
and they still lost. So yeah, that could be a sign that it made them look better than they are for just even being within a touchdown against.
So now we got Miami, who's 1-0, going into 1-0 Baltimore. It took Baltimore a while. They had me nervous, and I'm like, what the fuck? It was real close, like the first half. There was like only a 1 score here. And so now they are going to be at home, and they are only giving 3.5 to Miami. I'm on Baltimore with this one.
I'm not on Baltimore right now. Gonna probably take Miami, just because there's loads of injuries, and I don't know who he's going to be able to throw to. This is going to have to be. So what you're banking on here is Lamar coming home.
Yeah.
They've got that whole contract situation and whatnot, and fucking proving to people how good he is. So this has to be, for me, a Lamar game with the run. You're finding everybody possible and just having a really good game to win, because you know that the Dolphins are going to be able to score some points here. It's just a game I don't want really anything to do with. But if I did, I would take the team getting 3.5 points just from what we've seen this yesterday. And just because of the injury. So I just don't know who's playing. That's all.
Okay. We get Atlanta going into the Rams. This is giving 10. I don't like when point spreads are this high. I mean, I think the Rams are going to win this game. But, like yesterday, we figured KC was going to, win by their point spread, of course. And when a team gets up that much and it's toward the end of the game, you see what happens. They will just let them pass and let the clock run because if they score, who cares? And, you get within. So if they're, down 14, they're going to allow, them to walk down. So I tend to stay away from this this kind of a point spread.
I just didn't like anything I saw from the Rams last week. I think Atlanta are better than people expected. Obviously, you have to you can't look at this until later on in the season. This is the problem with do. And you have to think about how elite Buffalo's defense are, because then it's more forgivable that the Rams scored only, what did they score, 9 points last week? If Buffalo are completely elite, I don't think they are. That makes it difficult to take the Rams. My concern would be for this. This feels like Atlanta start the game well, and people who had the 10, people that take the 10 are like ripping up their bets, ripping up clips, and then the 10's going to be out the window very early, and then Rams do find a way to win the game and at least get that part of it done. So very typical, like Atlanta Falcons game, just like last week.
Yeah. Seattle, the Legion of Boom, who's back all of a sudden, right? They want us to believe. 1-0 going into the 0-1 San Francisco 49ers. And the Niners are giving away 8.5 points. That's a lot. It's a lot of points because, like we said, we kind of got to throw out last week's game for both those teams. And you still don't know what Lance is. You have no idea. He did miss people when they were open deep, which could have, won the game for them. He was missing a couple things. But like we said, there was quite a bit of weather. And for me, though, like, to win this game, I don't have a problem in the world saying San Francisco. I'm very confident that will happen because I believe Seattle put everything they had in the world in their bodies to beat Russ. And I think they were like, I'm going to kill myself. They blew their wad. It was like, if we win this and lose all the rest, it's fine. So I think they gave every piece of everything, and I don't think they get, you can't get yourself up like that for every game, and especially ones that are just, this is division, of course, but it is not as much emotion, and I think those coaches as well went above and beyond to win. And I think, by the way, that Denver coach is horrible, by the way. So I would say San Francisco here. The 8.5 worry me. I could see it by 7 that they win this, but I would stay away from it when betting the point spread, just because, like I said, until Lance shows me something, and week 1 might as well not have been a week because you can't really take that into account.
Yeah, I think this is a big bounce back spot. They're going to be at home now. I think, look, here's the thing. I've said this before, if Shanahan is this, or if Shanahan is really that, and he seems to keep getting the pass. Like, he just seems to be blindly good in the eyes of people, no matter like what the data and the stats and the facts tell you. They'll still always tell you he's a good offensive coach. So if he didn't look at that game against Denver last week and see plenty of holes that he could exploit, and he's not licking his lips and making a game plan to smash this team to wipe away what happened last week, then I think this is it's another case.
It's supposed to rain a little bit too.
Yeah, it's another case for me of him not being as good as he's made out to be. But yeah, I think that they will win this and cover 8.5 points. I think we'll really see where Seattle are at. And as I said, this is a game for like the start of the schedule should have been Trey Lance being able to go, 4-2, 4-2, 5-2.
Yeah.
Having those games to adapt. They really didn't want that loss last week. So yeah, I think they no one wants a loss ever, but they really didn't account for that loss last week. Is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, I think they come out and just fuck this team up.
Cincinnati going into Dallas. As we know, Dak is out for a few weeks. Cincinnati, I like when I've heard the Billy say -6. I have it at -7. 6.5, sorry. 6.5, I'm all over it with Cincinnati.
You want to go with the public, 89% or whatever it was?
Yeah, because, I mean, sure, this could be a bite in the ass, but after Cincinnati goes to the Super Bowl and then they lose last week with the 5 turnover, you think Burrow's going to do that again? I think Burrow's going to be on a fucking mission in this game.
No, I don't think he will. I just like being with these, with this many people. But I mean, eventually, it's not a case of okay, so over the course of 17 weeks, the public are going to have a number one bet, which they're going to hammer, 70-80%. That is not going to go 0-17. That top bet, that top bet go 0-17. On some weeks, 80% of the public are going to win their top bet, and on most weeks, the books are going to win. So if that number goes 8 and 9 through the year, the books are happy. But the 8's going to be there, and this could be one of those times where they may not have moved the line enough. There's other problems as well. There's other problems on the team as well. Whoever comes in at quarterback doesn't even have people to throw to, because there's other injuries on that side of the ball as well. It's like you can come in like Dalton did a few times in the past and had people, had all those weapons. There's just not anything there. So I don't know, it's really difficult to make any case for why the public lose this bet this week.
Yeah, if Cincinnati won last week, I'd be a little more nervous. But as bad as they were and the fucking mistakes and this and that, there's no way it's twice like that.
No, I agree. I don't think so.
Houston goes into Denver, 0-1 versus 0-1. And this is a 10-point spread. Denver's giving 10. Now, I'm saying I'll go flat out and say this is a push. They win by 10. And my big problem is coach versus coach. I don't have a problem with Denver just has more talent and they'll win and they're home. But I think that coach on Denver's side is a detriment. And I think Lovie Smith is a better coach, and with the defense and him trying to see what Seattle did, I think it's not going to end up, I think, more than the 10. And I don't know if 10's even considered a blowout,
Yeah, I'm going to go for Denver. They made a lot of mistakes on offense last week. They come home here, altitude. Texans spent an extra, I believe, obviously we know it was 15 minutes overtime, but I think it was 24 minutes actually, or 24 minutes extra on the field. It's just not where you want to. It's not, and they still didn't win. It's just not the position that you want to be in. I think they put everything into that game, and we'll see where the Texans are really at. And also, I think Denver will put those points on the board. Those trips to the end zone. I think they'll score those points, and it'll be enough to win this game. They'll get the win by the margin that they should have got last week. It's just fucking unbelievable that's fucking lost.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think Denver get it right this week on their home opener because it's a proper home field.
Yeah. And I mean, it's better off later in the year, obviously, but it's still, it's a ruckus, you know.
Yeah, some places just ain't. So, but this is not one of them. This is.
I quite honestly don't think Chicago is, and that's my own team, and I don't think the crowd is. It's not a crazy, like, they're passionate. I don't think they're disruptive. I don't at all. And it's the stadium is the smallest stadium in the whole NFL. That's where they're going to move. Can't get loud enough, you know. So next is Arizona 0-1 versus Las Vegas 0-1, and Vegas is giving 5.5. I am taking Vegas and giving that 5.5. I think this is an actual pretty good bet this week to take. I'm more high on this, and I don't think you see how many times Devontae got that ball last week. I think it was 17 times he was targeted at least or thrown to. They used them, but all the picks from Carr did him no good. So, and they were playing a good team, but they didn't lose by much. So, and for having that many turnovers, but their defense is more the issue here. But I would give this 5 points.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult really because they should go off. Devontae Adams should go off. He had 17 targets last week, so he should be having a 100-yard game here. But at the same time, going back to one of the stats earlier, week 2 dogs of 6 or less, which is here, off a straight-up loss, goes 64, 32, and 3 for 67%. I only took one of those teams, which was the Panthers. I've stayed off the Jaguars and I've stayed off the Jets because I don't want to bet on Joe Flacco, and I be with the world on the Jags just winning again and again and again at home. So I think, Aaron, that with an extra week, Cardinals work out how to stay in the game without Hopkins. I don't know if they win this game, but I'll take 5.5. It's 6 in some places, but I'll take 5.5. Yeah, I think just probably not going to be a play for me, but yeah, I'll take it here in Arizona because I don't think Vegas are. I think Vegas are supposed to be at least the worst team in their division. I'm not sure they are.
Yeah, that division's going to be, like we said, going to beat the shit out of each other. So, next, our guys, Chi-Town 1-0 versus 0-1 Green Bay, and it is Green Bay giving 10 points.
Still 10.
It's 10. It is 10. From what I heard today from Vegas people, they were like, their explanation was, oh, well, isn't that cute? Chicago won a game when they shouldn't have, and it doesn't matter. They still think they're horrible, and they think it was only the weather that made them win that game anyway.
See, this is the fifth most highest bet game, and seeing as the Packers are one of the most public teams, there's 55% on the Bears.
55. See, I'm taking the Bears with the points.
Which has moved it. Yeah, that is with the points. Which has moved it to 9.5 over here. So,
well, apparently Rodgers, the stat stuff was like he beats the point spread, and then there was the crazy stat, like it kept on going up. It was beats the point spreads after that loss, after the first week loss, and then you want
numbers.
Well, let me see if I'm kind of right here. It beats the point spread after a loss, and then also in a primetime game beats that spread, and then beats Chicago's point spreads. So it was like everything comes in line to beat this point spread. Go ahead, tell me.
So Rodgers at home is just, in general, is 66% against the spread. Overall. As a home favorite, he's 65% against the spread. At home on prime time, it goes up to 69% against the spread. In the division, it goes down, but it's 64% against the spread. After a loss, Aaron Rodgers is 64% ATS. That's against the spread. Against the Bears, just a big jump up.
Yeah.
20-7 against the spread for 74%. And here's even more crazy statistics. So in the 27 times Aaron Rodgers has played the Bears, he's covered 20 times. He's played him after a loss 9 times. Do you know what the ATS record is?
9-0.
9-0.
I know this guy too much.
and also LaFleur in his career as the Green Bay coach, after the 9 losses that he's had as the coach, he's 9-0 ATS.
Oh God, I wouldn't bet on this game at all because
I wasn't going to.
Nah. That make you change your mind hearing all that. Good Lord, I could see this one being that they're up by a lot and let them walk down again. Bullshit. Where you go,
but they can't walk down. That's the thing. Like, Herbert can walk down yesterday, but they're not going to walk
when
down.
You give a cushion and you just go, I'm letting you have everything underneath. That's what happens a lot. It's that, you want to pass for 5 yards and then the guy will run for another 5. And so they allow it and they allow it, they allow it. And now you get to the end where, okay, now you have to work within 20. It's just, they just want to bleed clock. Here's my difference here for this. This is the only thing that gets to me is, like we say, throw out last week because it was raining. So I still don't know. I've seen preseason. I kind of know a little bit. Green Bay, like we said last week, where I was like adamant, I go, Rodgers doesn't play the preseason, always sucks that first week, the last couple at least, right? And everybody keeps bringing up now they get killed by New Orleans that time. And so now the only difference for me now, though, to say, of course he's bouncing back and they're going to be who they are. We know that. They're not going to be garbage. That's 100% sure. But that nobody to throw to shit. He threw to the running backs most. That's who he was throwing to. That's like zero trust. And he throws to Cobb, of course.
Lazard's back this week.
Yeah, are they 100% sure? But meanwhile, Here was the weird thing. Last year, you were wanting him to throw it to Lazard if you were against them because he was the weaker of all the wide receivers and he would drop the ball. Now, he's the scary guy? It doesn't work that way for me. So, to me, I also said last week I was ranting about Rodgers' leadership. Now, here's my biggest problem. Of course, it's my rival, right? I'm not a fan. But I do know greatness, and I see somebody being great. I don't care if I hate the guy or not. You hate him because he's fucking great. So, him throwing that ball, that 75-yard ball, right, to Watkins, who drops it, he gets very that cantankerous, fuck these guys, and you see him on the sideline yelling about, these fucking slobs. I think, and then I saw Russell Wilson do almost the same. It bounced off a guy's face when Russell Wilson threw it, and there was a big difference in what they both did. Rodgers didn't throw to the guy again until the fourth quarter, till the end of the game, where it was, in my mind, this is a rookie who's terrified anyway. You have one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time throwing you the ball and you drop it. You tell me you're not fucked up in the head then. How about Rodgers say, don't worry, kid, we're going to get him again. In fact, I'm going to go to you right away again. We're going to get you fucking going. You drop that one, all bets are off. But instead, I'm freezing you out. Fuck you, you're never getting the ball again. That fucks up people, man. That ain't a way to be fucking right. Russell Wilson was like clapping, go, okay, we're going to, don't worry about it. That's the way you do it because you go, okay, the guy knows he fucked up. Don't fucking freeze the motherfucker out. So I'm curious to see if even keep an eye on first play of the game. Do they do another bomb to him just to fucking just to do and throw people off?
But it was a touchdown that he dropped.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean you don't ever fucking, the guy fucking dropped the ball. Yeah, I'd be pissed off too. I'd be like, this motherfucker, but he doesn't have his old teammates with all the fucking choices. You got to get this guy fucking right. And if he's gone in his head, when you're fucked up in the head, you play tennis, you play soccer. When you're not fucking right, it just doesn't fucking, you get inside your brain, same as I play golf. You get inside your brain, you can't play. So I was thinking, You got to build this kid up. You got to fucking, okay, let's do a little fucking cross pattern just to get another catch to show you it's cool. Don't worry about it. You don't have to, because anytime he now drops something, you know how fucked up he's going to be in the head going back to that huddle. Like, this guy going to fucking give me the eye. Fuck, you know, and it's not like the guy trying to drop it, obviously. So I just think it's shit leadership on that part to kind of freeze a guy out.
Yeah, I can agree with that to some extent, but
all right. So I mean, you know what? I would take Chicago with the 10. And listen, I'm not doing it, but if I have to make a pick here, I'll do it. I'm more intrigued by it's 41.5. I'm taking the under.
Yeah, I haven't handicapped the total really. It didn't stand out. Stood out to me as correct.
Because I'm like, okay, if Packers score 31, do you think the Bears score 10? I mean, they're not going to be like equal scoring. It's going to be a landslide on one side if they do. And I don't think the Bears defense is garbage enough to be giving up that much. And God knows the Chicago offense can't score a lot at all against, especially the defense on Green Bay.
Yeah, well, I mean, I was disappointed that we allowed 23 points last week, so we'll see how good we are. Yeah,
the offensive line is still fucked up. Like 3 of the 5 starters are out still. So if they can get a pass rush like the Vikings did, Rodgers was getting fucked up. He got crushed on that one, things like that. So offensive line is a major fucking deal. So that it might come down to that, to where it keeps things going. But I think they're going to run the ball a lot, too, on Chicago, because they weren't stopping the run last week at all. Let's go. Monday night, there is 2 games, Billy, and I'm glad I got 2 TVs, at least. It is Tennessee, 0-1, going into the 1-0 world beater Buffalo Bills. Their home opener, and it is -10. Oy, this, like I said, those double-digit spreads, man. And Tennessee, obviously, it was 1 game, and they were the first-place team last year. 10 is an awful lot to me. I mean, if I had to do this, God, if I had to do this, I'm taking Buffalo for the over 10. But I'm not jumping up and down. The total is 48, too.
Yeah, it's going all the way up to 10. Okay.
Yeah, it's 10. That's, I go, fuck, they could win. This is another one of those push. I see them dominating, but not like by points, you know?
Yeah, it's difficult because you know what they're going to do. It's just going to be Henry. But last week, the Giants stopped him, and Saquon was the better running back last week. I think, and what did Henry get? Maybe 98 yards or something.
And Buffalo's got a better defense, too. Like, they're really good.
Yeah, I mean, he had a lot of carries. And I think he was at 3.8 yards per carry, maybe. I think he was averaging. So, yeah, I'm not sure that's going to work. I think Bills have the advantage of playing on Thursday. And then it gets Monday at home.
Yeah, that's a long time off.
Yeah, so I'm just going to take the Bills. They'll start building up that hype train again until they get kicked in the mouth at some point.
Minnesota, the last game of the week. Minnesota 1-0, going into Philly 1-0, and Philly is giving 2 points. It's funny because a lot of people I would think would be more high on Minnesota because of what they show. They're like, oh my God, now they're, go crazy. But they're different on the road. They're very different on the road. This is almost a show me again for Minnesota for me to believe that they can do this wherever they're at. And as we know, Kirk Cousins, primetime, even though he has that one finally. But I would take Philadelphia and give the 2 here. Philly home opener. Hurts. I still, like I said, Hurts to me is a iffy guy. But being home, I think that's your best choice if you have to do this game, but I wouldn't be jumping to bet on it.
A lot of people are.
Really?
Yeah, a lot of people feel that Kirk Cousins' prime time is worth the fade. Eagles have advantages in a lot of areas in this game. Minnesota, I think the biggest angle for me is that Minnesota won a really big. I know they both won last week, but Minnesota won a really big game, and I just think they'll struggle to get up for this one at the Eagles, which is a proper home field. All Philly sports are home fields. So yeah, I'm going to go for the Eagles. This will get me closer to my win total as well. And yeah, I mean, even I was surprised this week. I looked and the Eagles were at 5-7 to win the division, or 7-10. So after in your US odds, you need to put down, I believe, 140 to win 100, minus 140, which is still, to me, it's like, well, who else is going to win it? Dallas aren't going to win, and the Giants aren't going to win it. So who's going to win it? The Commanders are going to be on 9-10 wins, are they? Like it's free money. Like you can even go to the books and you can parlay Bills, Tampa, and Philly to win their divisions, and they will. You can even throw the Colts on there.
That's pretty good.
You can throw the Colts on. And you know what? The Packers, they lost that game to the Vikings, which I knew they would, and now you're getting plus money on them. So the overreaction was, so they were around about 3-5. They were. You had to bet $160 to win 100. Now, if you bet 100 on the Packers, you win 120. You win 220. You get 220 back. They're 6-5 favorites to win the division. Like, they swung that much off that game, which wasn't a big upset because Minnesota were a 1-point underdog, and they started as a 1-point favorite when the game started. So I don't understand these lines, like these futures lines that people don't like to bet on because they're like, oh, I got a fucking 16 weeks. Like, dude, like,
do you know that Vegas,
it's the most surefire way of making a profit?
Yeah, it's an investment. You just got to wait for your investment. This is very interesting. One of the places in Vegas, if you bet on Dallas to do the under in their win totals, they pay you out already. So you can get your money paid to you already because of the Dak injury. And if they go over, oh well, but they're giving everyone their money now, which is smart because now you'll go put it in on something else so you could lose your money because they know you're not going to lose that money. So give it back to you, and now you'll put it back in.
Yeah, but I mean, they had the money already, so.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the people betting the under. They're going to guarantee to win, so they're like, all right, well, let's just pay it out early because now these people are going to bet on other shit and give it right back to us. So fuck it.
What was the 10?
That's a good question. I have it in front of me. It's 10.5.
Yeah.
Yeah. So they know. Do we want to give away anything here, or we're doing that on the other side for the Patreon people?
Yeah, the lock is on Patreon. Yeah.
Okay, so we are out of here. We got
to do our consensus teaser.
Oh yeah, our teaser. Bring them down to. Okay, I got my teaser here.
All right, what you got?
I got Cleveland because they're 6.5. They're given. So take away that 6.5. They got to win pretty much because it's half.
Oh my God, you've got the same teaser that I had. Not the same. No, not the same half.
Okay,
but you've added the half to a teaser that I was already playing. I was already playing Cleveland because I get it. So I've got it anywhere between 5 and 6.5. So I was going to say Cleveland money line and Green Bay minus 3.5.
That's pretty good. Pretty good. I mean, there's always that iffy thing with.
Sometimes you hear a teaser and you think, how is that the same odds as betting a spread pick? Because sometimes the teaser's so much easier than fucking trying to pick between Colts and Jags minus 3.5, or last night's game where KC were 3.5. Like, and then you think, all right, so I need Green Bay to win by 3.5, and I just need the fucking Browns to beat the Jets. And then it always sounds so much easier, but these teasers don't have a high success rate like for gamblers. It's very weird. Like, how the books still come out on top even with these. Hopefully, like this one will win, because I think last week's got fucked by
Tennessee, right?
Was it Tennessee?
I'm thinking it was.
Because then it would have pushed them. So we would have got a push, because Tennessee was 5, and a 6-point teaser would have been Tennessee +1. So I think we would have won. I think we won last week's teaser then. If we had Ravens and we had Ravens and Tennessee, we would have come out with a win somehow.
It could have been Denver too, because Denver was 6.5, and Denver just had a win. That's
I can't remember.
Too.
I can listen.
So, all right, make sure if you want your full betting of everything, Billy has his own site. Where are we going, Billy, with that?
I believe it was Denver, actually, just for that record. Mm-hmm. It's lockbetting.com. Lockbetting.com is where you can get all sports picks. But if you're not interested in all sports, if you think I can do my own boxing, I can do my own UFC, tennis, soccer, whatever, I just want to bet through the NFL, or you don't even watch those sports, and I just want to bet through the NFL season, then you're probably better off going to NFL Six-Pack, patreon.com/NFL Six-Pack if you just want the NFL.
Yeah, so hit up that, take a look, see what your options are. If you want to join in, it doesn't hurt you to take a look and see what you could possibly do and make some money this season. Because who doesn't bet on football?
If you don't want the 6 picks, go over and get go over and $15 and get the survivor pick and the locks. The 2 locks that you used to get last year are over on the $15 pick. So for the $15 section, you get this podcast slightly earlier, and also
the extra,
an additional 5-10 minutes of premium plays, 2 premium plays on there. So,
and my question for Billy, when we go over to the other side, the first thing you're answering for me, give me the game or games that if one of the team wins, it's going to be, we got to rethink about this team, and the team who lost, is the sky falling? Is this team really in fucking trouble? I have 2 games that I wanted to talk about with that, so we'll do that on the other side. That's it. We're going over there. We're getting a bonus part of the podcast for the people on patreon.com/NFL6, the number pack. Go over there. We'll see you over there.
He could go all the way.